Hey guys, today is June 21. It's about 3 o'clock. What we plan on doing today is, you guys probably saw my last post. If not, it's about how to remove the belts and swap them to new ones, because mine was pretty much on its way out. At least the main belt, the alternate belt to the main pulley. So prior to me putting the new belts that I now have, which took at least over a month to find the main belt, and if you guys want to get the information as to what the actual part numbers are, you can check the last post concerning the removal of the belts for the 20B. So prior to me putting the belts back and get the car started, what I want to do is verify from the internet mechanics or forum mechanics that the 20B, 13B REW alternator actually fits the 20B. So the concern that I have is, one, the mounting, of course, and the connections. The connections should be probably the same, but really it's the mounting part and how the pulley is going to line up. The 20B is a 7 rib, whereas the FD is a 5 rib pulley. So as you guys can see, the snout, if that's what you want to call it, to the pulley is not as prominent, or actually more prominent than the FD. So I'm not quite sure whether or not that's going to line up with the main pulley. Of course, you're going to want to swap out this pulley with the FD, swap them, and hopefully that's going to line up. The other concern that I have is the adjustment bracket, whether or not that's going to line up. And that's going to provide the adjustment that you need to make sure that you have the right tension on the belt. You're probably wondering why I have that piece of wood, because the strut on this side failed. So I don't want too much stress on that, just that one strut for the hood. So I just put that wood there just in case. I don't want that dropping on my head. Not that it's heavy, but it's fairly light. Yeah, so I don't know how much of an upgrade it's gonna be. Well, actually I do. It's really not gonna be an upgrade. Once I get the alternators removed, and pardon the engine bay, I haven't really detailed it since getting the car back. The previous owner really just did a horrible job upkeeping this car. Really, well, at least the shop manual says that the FD alternator is 90 amps, and so does the workshop manual for the 20B, that it is 90 amps as well. So it's really not an upgrade. It's more of the convenience of having the FD alternator available than the 20B. I can get this thing rebuilt, but I don't know if I can trust that. I don't know. I've read horror stories about things just not being rebuilt right, or only lasting for about a year. So I'd rather trust something new. At least it's somewhat warranted, so that if it fails within a certain amount of time, you have a new part that you can get replaced. So yeah, so I'm gonna see if I can do a swap. Whether or not I'm gonna be able to capture it, I'm gonna try. I need both hands to get this thing done, but essentially, like I said, I'm just gonna go ahead and remove this and swap it with the FD alternator to see if it all lines up and fits. So with the FD, It's just like, I mean, with the Cosmo, it's just like the FD. You have to remove the adjuster bolt and nut. And I think I should be able to wiggle it out so that I can clear this adjuster bracket, and then this one bolt here that you pull out. I don't know if there's a bolt back here. I don't believe so. I think it just threads into the end of that alternator, and this is just a hollow nut. Well, just kind of slides through, and remove the connector and the power, and you should be able to pull that out. And it's the same thing for the FD, not much difference. So let's get that going. Of course, before you do anything electrical related, just make sure that your battery's disconnected. And also forgot to mention that to clear, best to remove the strut bar so that you have access to pull the alternator out. And this is going to be 12. And this is going to be a 14. So for clearance, you are going to need to remove this adjuster bracket, and it's just a 12 millimeter nut or bolt. So it's just one at the bottom where you see me trying to wrench this thing out. So I got the adjuster bracket out. I didn't realize how long this damn bolt is, so just be patient. Be careful that I'm not sure if it's threading to the aluminum or the iron portion of the block, but just be careful you're not trying to rush it and then destroy the threads. I'll put some NECs on it when I put it back on. Set this aside so I'm not losing it. And time to pull out the alternator. Should be easier to do it now. I'm gonna need both hands. All right, so I got the bad boy out. Not quite sure what all this carbon is, but anyway, it took a little bit of doing because the clearance where the alternator fits onto this this piece is fairly tight. So I just took a screwdriver, wedged it between the alternator and that piece, just gave it a little bit of help, and you're able to loosen it so that you can pry it out. Eventually I'm gonna need to, which I should, start replacing these vacuum hoses. I'll do that some other time, maybe during the winter after the dragon trip. So if you guys are have been following, I'm taking this to the Dragon, which is an area in North Carolina, Tennessee border that has 318 curves in 11 miles. I've taken the NSX and the STI, which I no longer have. I took it on his maiden voyage to test the build for the STI. If you want to check it out, it's on my channel. But I'll be taking her this year in October. So I'm trying to get things somewhat squared away for this trip, just enough so that I feel comfortable that she's roadworthy. So anyway, I'm rambling. So it's time for me to go ahead and remove the alternator for the from the FD. But before I do that, just to confirm that I know there's a lot of questions as to what exactly came out of the 20B. It is a 90 amp alternator. So there's some folks that have mentioned that it's 100 or 120, but I can tell you, and having told that this is stock and nothing was changed in this car, that it is a 90 amp alternator, and it states it on the shop manual. So that should dispel all the internet mechanics saying that it's 100 and or 120. Eventually I do want to upgrade, because I'm surprised that she's really only using 90 amps, considering all the tech that this car has in comparison to the FD. Also has a 90 amp, but less tech. So I mean, this is the first car with the touch screen, the navigation, etc., etc. So I'm kind of confused as to why it's only running a 90 amp. But anyway, that's besides the point. Let's go ahead and continue with the removal of the FD alternator. Okay, so the strut is going to be 14. I could just take out one side and swing it up, but probably easiest for me to just take out the strut bar, just to be safe. Okay, I got the bolts out. Luckily you only need 2 on each side, because I have the car on stands, and if I had to remove the 3 bolts, it would probably drop. And we need to remember that when I drop her, to properly torque the nuts on the coilover studs. So, all right, got the strut out. Same scenario here. Connector, power, the adjuster. I should have enough room without having to remove the bracket, but I have my manual boost controller here that I can remove if needed. I had that because right now the fuel tech is on just 9 psi, and I was gonna see if I can regulate the boost just using the manual controller temporarily until I get this thing all dialed in. But so that's why I left it. But I should be able to remove, maybe just rotate this so that it doesn't mess up the nipple, and pull this out. Okay, so I got the alternator out on the FD. As you guys can see the difference, there's really not much. What I was really concerned more about was how the, like I said earlier, the pulley lining up with the main. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and remove the pulleys and swap them. So what I typically do is, let me see if I can capture this. Basically, I just make sure that I've got my rubber gloves on, just in case. Or either that, if you have leather gloves, just hold on to this tight and get an impact wrench, and that should come off Not easily, but you know, you just gotta have to just grip on this really tight. That's the way I've been doing it. So I don't know if anybody has a better way, but let me see if I can get that done. This might be just a little bit harder because this has been on the car for 26 some odd years. So I don't know if that's going to be as easy, but let's give it a shot. We'll try this one first. Yeah, that was pretty easy. Let's give the other guy a shot and see how that goes. That kind of concerns me a little bit, how that came off really easily. Yep, got it up. Hopefully it's the same size shaft. This guy right here. Well, I'm gonna leave this out because I'm not going to put this 20B alternator into the 13B. Looks like that went in fairly easily. So what I found is some slop, even though I tighten the nut against this. I don't know if that's normal. I don't think it is. So, you know, unlike this pulley, if you tighten it, it's actually up against the yeah, so I'm not quite sure if I'm gonna go ahead and continue with this swap. I would just get myself I don't know if I just put a washer on there or what, but it doesn't appear that this might be tall enough. So if I were to look at the height, not sure if that's what that is, but if I put this on here and I tighten the bolt, or I tighten the nut I should say, it's up against the alternator as it should without any wobbling. See, no wobble. But yet if I put this pulley over onto the FD alternator, which looks to be deeper, it's not as tight as I am comfortable with. So I mean, that's shallower than that guy. Anyway, this is I guess a failed attempt to try and figure out whether or not the FD alternator works. I mean, I believe it does. I mean, everything lines up. It's just that the pulleys is a little concerning. Why is this making a noise? And this is free. Any of you guys know anything about alternators? Let me know if that's which is normal. This is pretty much free, whereas this has it has friction. So I don't know enough about electrical systems or how the alternator works to say which one is normal, but I wonder whether or not this isn't working as properly as it should. That's why some of my electrical stuff isn't working. Some of my components isn't working, so don't know what to do here. All right, guys, it's the following day. Just kind of been mulling around on what I needed to do or what I want to do, because let me show you. This is the 20B alternator with the 13B aftermarket pulley that I pulled out from the FD alternator, doing the swap of the pulleys just so that it lines up. As you can see, there is play. No play. And see the nut move along with it. So there's definitely proper fitment there. Here, it's up and down, and the pulley moves freely without the shaft. So it's no good. Kind of been thinking of what I was gonna do. It's both, again, like I said before, they're both 90 amps anyway, so it's really not much of an upgrade other than just that this looks a little cleaner, DFD alternator that is. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put everything back. I thought about grabbing the 180 amp alternator for the FD and placing the FD alternator with the 20B pulley onto the JC, but I can't even do that, so I'm just gonna have to revert back to the way it was. Yeah, and like I said, it's not even an upgrade, so it's just cleaner. So I can't recall whether or not the OEM alternator had a spacer, either or a washer with the nut or somewhere between the alternator and the pulley. If you guys have any ideas, let me know, comment down below. Maybe I just because since I put the aftermarket pulley, I can't really recall what I took out to add this aftermarket alternator. So most likely there was something here. But yeah, like I said, I can't recall. The 180 amp alternator is like 600 bucks. So I don't think I'm gonna be able to coin that anytime soon. And I'd hate to kind of leave the FD the way it is. As you guys can see, I put the adjuster bracket back because there was some seepage. Of course, this is connecting the water pump, so removing that bracket, which is the third pressure point for the water pump, there was some seepage along with the 20B as well. So I had to put the brackets back on both, and I don't want to leave it like that. I don't want to be introducing air into the system more than I have to. So I am just going to, like I said, put everything back. I wish I had the coin to be able to get the new alternator so that I can do things properly, but yeah, no money. So not getting paid by YouTube or anything. This is just solely out of me wanting to just record what I do with these cars. So let's see. Yeah, so let me just go ahead and do that and call it a day, and get the belts on here, and maybe attempt to put in the 50 amp relay for the starter to help it get power to the solenoid. I believe that's the function of it. So it may fix my starting issue. Hopefully that's what that is, but I don't know. That's most likely going to be a separate video, just so that I can segregate what I do with the Cosmo and make it searchable for folks that are specifically looking to do that upgrade. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys till the next video. Be kind and check you guys later.